Nimi writes, hello, AMC. Greetings from London. This is my first time sending in a question, actually. My question is in regards to Oscar-winning performances generally being considered for roles that may not necessarily be deemed the norm by society, such as Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker's sadistic and twisted personality, or Eddie Redmayne's portrayal of Stephen Hawking and how he grew up and developed into his current condition. Do you think that actors are more likely to be considered for an Oscar nom or any other prestigious award if they take on a role that requires them to step out of the ordinary? Perhaps it is because we get to see their acting abilities stretched to the end of the spectrum. Thank you guys and keep up the fantastic work.
Well, like Schnepp, take this first because I know you're pretty passionate about this subject.
Well, I don't know if I'm that passionate about it, but I think, you know, when actors take on roles that push them into different, you know, that's not a normal thing. Like we've seen a lot of actors and actresses win time and time again for not playing just like I'm like Charlize Theron. I'm not this pretty girl or this, but she actually pushed herself into not just because she put on some ugly makeup or whatever, but she actually became a monster murdering serial killer in that movie Monster, and she won an Oscar. Posthumously, Heath Ledger won for becoming this creepy villain. So I mean, not just being a bad guy or a deformed creature, but if you're able to push it and actually people believe you, you know, that's the other part, is like believing that this actor is this other person. I mean, I think that's like why Eddie Redmayne won over Michael Keaton. I think it's because you believed as he slowly lost his ability to move and became who Stephen Hawking is. You saw it over time, and it was like, it's a sad thing, and you believed it. So.
But don't you find that the Academy and the Oscars in general nominate performances that fit? You know, sometimes you can predict, like whether they're doing like a performance where you're talking about transformation of some sorts, where it's a much more showy performance versus a nuanced one. I mean, I always get reminded when the question like this comes up. Two things. Have you guys ever watched Ricky Gervais's Extras?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's that scene with her, with them and Kate Winslet, where they're like, "Oh, you're so great for doing this movie about the Holocaust," and of course it's a joke. So she's like, "Oh no, I'm doing it so I can win an Oscar."
Right.
And what was hilarious about that is she actually ended up winning an Oscar for a movie about the Holocaust.
The Reader, I think it was.
Yeah. And then the other one is with Tropic Thunder, that scene with Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr., which, to quote the movie, is like, never go full retard, you know?
Right.
It's like one of those things where the Academy seems to be predictable in terms of nominating certain performances, like whether it's you're playing a real-life person, a disabled person, or what we're talking about, like a pretty girl uglying herself up.
Right.
I mean, what do you think about that, Mark?
That's the thing. I mean, if you get a disease in a movie, then you have a better chance of winning an Oscar, and actors and actresses know that. I think that they seek out those roles every so often. Sometimes they just want the challenge of doing it. I think that Double D Lewis really enjoys being Lincoln for a few months and not using his cell phone. And it's more often that you have an extreme type of character like that get nominated or win than just a normal guy who has some bad circumstances happen to him, or interesting circumstances. I mean, Dustin Hoffman won for Kramer versus Kramer, where that's a dad going through a divorce. So that's more normal. Sean Penn won for Mystic River, where it was, you know, just a guy who had some really bad stuff happen to him. But then Sean Penn also won for playing Harvey Milk. So that's a different set of circumstances, right? So I think that the way in Hollywood now is like, if you take on a role where you have to do something extreme, some sort of transformation, or you're already inhabiting a body that is different than most people, you have a better chance of winning because we know what you went through to push yourself to that limit, so you have a better chance of getting a statue.
And then Hoffman, didn't he win for Rain Man as well?
He did, yeah.
Which is a different, you know, type of character.
Which might have been referenced in that Tropic Thunder speech.
Yes.